comes the boys from the south. Here comes the ready or not. Here comes the boys from the south.
Hey YouTube, welcome back to the Pope Show. And today we're gonna be doing a lot of talking, or I'm gonna be doing a lot of talking because I don't have too many projects I can do today, but we're gonna see what we can get done. And then I'm gonna of course show you what I traded for the 420. So without further ado, let's go to the garage. Now we can go ahead, move into the garage, which I'm sure is what you guys want to see. Should I show you guys what I got first? I think I'll wait. I'm going to show you what I was working on last night until about 3 a.m. Trying to finish something for you guys. Let me turn you around. Okay, so let's walk into the messy garage. Because last night I was just trying to put that engine back together. And I got one head on. I got this one on. This one I could not get on because... Okay, but the reason I don't have the head on there is because last night I went to go put the last valve in there and it popped up and I lost one of these retainers. There it is. Little retainers that go on the end right here. Actually... Oh, well, I lost one of them. The other one's in there right now. I don't know why I put it in there, but this is how you would actually push it down. I just have a clip here. I just grabbed one of these. Actually works really well. I was just kind of grabbing it. But this is how it goes in there, and then this retainer clip, there's two of them, and that clip goes right here on that shaft and stops it from going up. So, of course, now I gotta order one of these frickin' things. Just one. That's all I need just to try to put this engine back together. And I tried grabbing these other little ones from another motor I have. That was actually the one that was torn down. That is that engine, which is just one I got from the scrap yard. Banshee? I don't know. This thing was wrecked though. I'll show you the pictures right now. But as you can see, the valves were bent, the piston blew up. I mean, it came right off the pinion. It had some terrible damage to this, but the actual the head and the jug are salvageable, so I'm gonna try maybe selling these. But so I tried taking those retainers off of this engine and tried putting on that one, and I didn't realize that the shafts were smaller, so that didn't work either. I was trying everything I could. Let me show you this. But back over here, these are the valves that came off that engine. Let's see how angled they are. This is a perfectly straight one. And this is the other one. As you can tell, they're pretty bent. So I'm sure that's why the engine was at the scrapyard. And also, let me show you the piston. Here's the beautiful piston. What's left of it. That thing got wrecked. Which doesn't matter, you know, I grabbed that engine out of there for the gearbox. Okay, but I figured since I can't put this back together, I might as well show you how I lapped the valves before I put them in. So, let's do that. Okay. So, alright, so let's get to it. This is the valve grinding compound that I used, which worked really well. I liked it. And then I bought these online, which these are the tools that you use to push the valve down and spin it, which I'll show you in a second. Okay, but what you do, move this out of the way. Went ahead and flip this over. Let's zoom you in here. But you would take this, so put it around, and you put it all the way around the edge here. You don't have to be a real thick layer because I actually already lapped it, so it's already shiny. But I got the valve all the way around the valve also, which this is actually the brand new valve that I bought. Okay, so you got a good coating on there. There. You plop her in there. And when I put that down there, the shaft actually hits my table, so you gotta lift her up a little bit. I'm gonna make sure this is cleaned off on the top. Clean as possible, so that way when you use the suction cup, this end, you can actually get a connection there. And then see, all you do is you just give a little bit of pressure down, not really a lot, you know, you're not taking much off, and you just, oops, you spin it like this. Not fast, but if you can hear that, do you hear I got quiet? That usually means it's good. Let's see if I'll find out. But as you can see, it's starting to wear a little shiny groove all the way around right there. And that's what you want. You also want that shiny groove right here. And you don't want to grind too much off, because if you do, you're gonna have to grind some of the bottom off, because if you grind this top off, it's gonna set deeper into the head, and so that's gonna push this further down, and then these rockers, you know, they're gonna put pressure on it and push it up a little bit. So you're not gonna get, you know, a good seal on it. So you wanna be careful and just do a little bit here and there until you get a good bead around. So let me wipe this off and see what we got. Okay, so as you can see, it's a nice shiny around, or shiny ring around it fully. And then if you can see right there is a nice perfect ring around it. So if I put this in there, I will have a perfect seal. And like I said, you just want to make sure whenever you go to put the rockers back on, that if you have, you know, top dead center, there shouldn't be any tension on here. And if there is, then you're gonna have to grind off a little on the bottom. That way you have a full seal on it. So now we gotta set this project to the side, because that is unfortunately the farthest I can go with this until I order that part again, or another part, unfortunately. And then let's go ahead and look at the other little go-kart that we were going to be working on today. Okay guys, so as we ended in the last video, I had a 41 tooth sprocket on there, but the clutch was only, I think, a 35. And before I went and ordered it, you know, I was looking around and I looked at that axle that we actually took off, and it had a sprocket on there. It was actually 35 chain, so I was perfect. So I went ahead and took this one off, and the other one was almost a match with these bolt holes. Well, the bolt holes did match, and it was just a little bit smaller, so it's not gonna be as much torque, but it'll fit. But, you know, it'll have the right chain, so I don't have to order another clutch. I can try to see if this, you know, I can get it going, because I'm trying to get stuff going for this weekend. So I put the new sprocket on. So I put the new sprocket on here, and it works beautifully, except the chain that came off that same sprocket and that same go-kart wasn't long enough. And I don't have any more 35 chain, so I went to Tractor Supply. I went to the one around me, don't have any, sold out. I went to the one about a half hour away, sold out. They don't have any chain. So I can't go anywhere because no one has chain for it. So I'm gonna have to wait on this one. I mean, it's gonna be running before the weekend for the party, but I'm stuck again. I'm getting tired of getting stuck on it, but there's nothing I can do. So that project's a dud today, and I thought I had a solution. I was going to use my boy's bicycle because I thought they were 35 chain. Well, I just looked at it and it's not the same. So I can't even do that. Like, I'm just stuck either way on, you know, that engine and the go-kart engine. I'm stuck. So without further ado, I'll show you what I got. Okay guys, you ready to see what I traded for the 420 kart? I was excited when I was going there, but then when I saw it, I wasn't so excited. I mean, I still did the trade, obviously, but the guy didn't mention all the things that were wrong with it. You know, he just said, oh, this is wrong with it, and just this. Well, then it turned out being, oh, well, this, you know, which is smaller things, which I don't mind. You know, I like working on stuff. But, you know, those type of people always irritate me. You know, whenever I post something, I say exactly what's wrong with everything. I don't try sugarcoating it. Because, you know, I'm not going to drive an hour and a half to be screwed like, you know, I did today. Well, not the same, but whatever. But anyways, let me show you. Then I'll explain it. Doop. This is what I got. And see what I mean about, you know, little things like the plastic. Looks like someone painted it really crappy. You know, I'm gonna have to get some paint remover or paint stripper and strip all this paint because it's hideous looking. And, you know, little stuff like this. I did not remove any of these bolts. Look at all this. I can take all this off. Oh, I guess I do have bolts here. But I mean, I can take this off. Like, the only thing I left bolts on was the fenders. Why? I don't understand that. I mean, I could almost take this thing, well, I did. I took it all the way to the frame without any bolts being removed. And, you know, which is just something little, you know, it's kind of stupid. And then the wiring, you know, they did some hack job on the wiring. They just twisted wires together. Like, if you don't know how to work on it, don't work on something. Just, or at least try, really try your best. And I know you're saying, what's missing? Well, that's the part that was the major part that was wrong with it, was that they bought supposedly a used head and a new piston and rings, but they let it sit there because they lost ignition. Which that's what, at first he told me what was wrong with it is it had no spark, they lost spark. I'm like, oh, well, that's not bad, you know, this is a two-stroke. This is the Yamaha Blaster 200cc two-stroke. So I'm like, you know, it's two-stroke, there's not much to those engines, so I can figure that out. Then he's like, oh, well, it's also seized, but this is just because blah, 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 it's been sitting there. I'm like, oh, come on. I'm like, well, you know, I see these sell, you know, they're pretty expensive, so, you know, I'll do that. But then this is what I'm talking about. I get there, then it's like, oh, this is cracked. You know, there's a crack right here. There's stuff missing, and this, you know, this needs painted. The rear brake doesn't work. The front brakes, it doesn't have the cable. It goes from the handle. Like a bunch of little crap that's gonna add up. But what are you gonna do? You know, I still jumped into it. But oh, and then also this tire keeps on coming off the rim because I already put it on the rim and aired it up, and then now it's been sitting here for a couple days, so I'm gonna have to do that again. Which I might do that, show you guys. But let me show you where the rest of the engine is. There she be. Here's the head and the jug, which isn't in bad condition. It's actually not bad. Side. And then I'm gonna hone this out because you can't really, it's hard to see, but there's a little bit of rust right here on top, and that's where the piston was seized, was right here on top. And then, and this doesn't look too bad. Here's the reed. That doesn't look too bad. I mean, it still has, you know, some tension on it. Oops. Forgot you can't see. So, you know, I'm gonna keep on using that. I'm using that one. Okay, so, you know, this is all salvageable. It's still, you know, a good jug and a good head. And it still has, you know, it looks like newer gaskets. So, I mean, he might have put, he said he put a new head on there, but it was a used one, so I'm assuming he got it off eBay. Which, everything looks good here. So let's take you to the piston. So here's the piston. To the side. And I had it soaking in gasoline. And it's really not that bad. I mean, he might have actually bought a new piston for it, you know, rode for a couple hours, something like that. And then I just removed the rings on this because the rings, you know, of course, were seized on here. I'll show you how I did that. So now I put it back in the gasoline because, you know, it's going to help get all those little particles in there. And then I'm going to take a brush and try cleaning it as best as I can. So that's still salvageable. But whenever I took this piston out, those clips in there, both of them bent. So I'm going to have to order some new clips. Actually, that one's still in there. I couldn't even get that one out. I'll have to grab that one. But so I have this soaking in the gasoline. Trying to, you know, clean it out. Here's the pin. Pin's not bad. Oh, sorry. Here's the pin. That's not bad either. Get a little sandpaper and kind of clean it out a little bit. And then here is the bearing that was on the piston pin. I'm sorry, I can't remember what it's called right now. But this one, it was a little rough, so I sprayed some of this this chain lube. And this stuff works amazing. This is my first time ever buying it, and I've used it on this, and it freed it up. And well, first, you know, I cleaned this out really thoroughly, and then I, you know, put the chain lube on there. And I used this chain lube on the chain that was on the little go-kart that we're working on, and that thing was frozen solid, and this thing broke it up. I like this. It's a little bit more expensive, but it is nice. So this is definitely salvageable also. And then the last thing is the carburetor. Here is the carburetor, and I have already cleaned it. I've torn it apart, you know, because I'm sure being sitting there, all the jets, you know, were plugged up, and I took this out, and there was just a bunch of gunk in here. Sprayed all that out, used some carb cleaner, you know, so this should be all set to go. Everything looks okay in here and spiffy. The throttle's kind of different. I'm going to show you what that throttle looks like. Okay, but this is the janky wiring I was talking about. Like, there's wires like that. Where's the throttle? Oh, here it is. Here's this thing. Like, there's wires. There's wires like this, like all pulled out. And, you know, it's all janky. You know, I'm really not surprised that he lost spark. I mean, seeing all these wires just dangling all over the place and gobbled together. Whatever. And then this is the coil. You know, look at that beautiful thing. And he said this isn't even the original coil. He said he tried a 3-reeler coil. So I don't know if this is the original coil or a 3-reeler coil. He said whichever one was bad. So he said it might just be a coil, but I'm thinking it's something to do with the wiring harness. But check this out. I've never seen one of these before. And, you know, I haven't had very many ATVs, so I mean, that's not saying anything. But it's kind of weird. I don't know what all this is. I don't understand why they don't have the throttle going just straight to this. I don't know if this is some kind of cruise control or... I have no clue what all this is. So, if someone can leave in the comment what all this is and why it doesn't go just straight to the throttle, that would be nice. Oh, and here's the boot. You know, because that was in there really well. Not. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take this tire off and set that bead again. Alright guys, so the tire's back on. I'll do a little walk around this baby. The rear brake caliper is there. He just says it needs rebuilt. So we're gonna have to figure that out. I haven't tried it yet. I don't know, I'll get into that later. But I'm probably not going to do a lot to this yet because I got all these other projects I want to hurry up and get done before I tear into this, because my garage is starting to get full again, full of projects. But once this thing's done, you know, it will be nice. It'll be a nice quad. Oh, the plastics are sideways. Oh, but the front brake, that's what I was talking about. Like, you said, a cable dangling here. It's like, oh, it did work. Yeah, I doubt that. But it does have, you know, the necessary components, which is right here. You go from the one cable to the two, and then goes to each hub. God who knows where the casing is. You know, it's in rougher shape, but I think we can clean her up, give her a nice paint job, and hopefully fix the engine. She'll look nice. And so that's the second time now that I've had to use that method to air up that tire. Hopefully I don't have to keep on doing it. I want to put some grime or something in there. But alright guys, that's probably going to be all for today because I can't really work on anything, unfortunately. But this weekend we're going to have all the toys out and have a big party, so definitely look forward to that. That's probably going to be the next episode, and then I'll have my editing so I can make it hopefully look pretty sweet. But before I let you guys go, why not give you guys a ride? You guys haven't had a riding video in a while. And really, actually, I haven't rode this old girl in a while. It's been kind of in the barn. Well, it's been kind of in the shed, not the barn. Let's give you a little ride.